Welcome to Season 3 of the Builders Podcast. I'm Matt Levenhagen. Here we share the journeys, strategies, and lessons that help entrepreneurs build what's next. Builders helping builders. Enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Tetiana Kobzar. Welcome to the show, Tetiana.
Hi, Matt. Thank you for having me.
So, Tetiana, you are a behavioral design strategist. Can you explain what that is? What do you do?
I help companies to build their products in a way that people, users, they love, they want using them, rather than making the products for the functionality or making them easy to use. So I would say that people love using products rather than have all the functionality available.
Right. So you're actually thinking about the customer. So customer-centric, kind of like we care about what the customer needs, not just adding lots of functionality that we think will impress them. Something like that.
That's right.
Cool. And we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about your story, your journey, how you got started in your entrepreneurial journey, or however far you want to go back. And then we're going to talk about some things that are happening since the last time we talked. We actually haven't talked for a little while, and Tetiana just decided to be like, well, this happened, which is major, and I did this other thing that we haven't talked about. So I'm going into this like, I don't know what this episode is going to be about either. So we're just going to go into it and have fun. So yeah,
improvisation for both of us.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that's what I like to do. These aren't scripted anyway, but I sometimes am surprised anyway by what we talk about, which, like I said, makes it fun, makes it interesting for me. It's like I'm watching it for the first time. Anyway, so let's start here. Let's start with your story and where you're from, what you're doing in your life that leads up to what you're doing today. That's a big story, right?
It is. So I'm Ukrainian. I was born in Kiev, and I've got a computer science background. I graduated university with computer science degree. I worked as a developer. I worked as a product manager, and since 2013, I am. I started my entrepreneurship path. So I built my own company that actually has been acquired recently. Also, I work on my own startup now, and also I am consulting, and I also created my own framework that help companies to build their digital products, to build their strategies, to improve their processes, which named Comportance, which I will be also excited to talk about. So now a lot of things changes, and as you mentioned, after since our last call, the plan of what we are going to talk about changed a lot, but that makes it interesting.
Yeah, it does. Well, what drew you to entrepreneurship? Like going in 2013, what were you doing before then that kind of led you into it?
So I participated in a couple of startups, and most of them were in an area of either games or gamified experience. So that's why, the gamification and behavioral science, it was like a natural path for me to take. And also behavioral science was my passion since my first book I read on the topic that was influenced by Cialdini. And so I was so fascinated how our brain works, how we make decisions, and that everything that I thought before was not true, that we are so much biased by the context, by the different, it's not rational, but it's predictable and irrational. So this was very, very interesting. And since then there were how we decide, Thinking Fast and Slow, and all other books that just added to it, and the gamification also, like Octalysis by Yuka Cho, all of that, that formed my passion to the behavioral design. But about the entrepreneurship, so one of the startups that I was working with, they didn't make it. and we had like a small team who didn't have a job, and so we decided that okay, so we were a good team, we worked together, and I knew everybody that they are good specialists, and so I decided that it's time for us to start something of our own. So I made this company, I found the clients, and like we started to work as a team, and then we grew
Oh, nice. So
to
you kind
like
of
this
you
is
were working at a startup which failed, is my
yep,
understanding there, and
yep,
then you decided all collectively, let's go build something else.
yep,
That's
basically.
that's fun. Like, what was the spark? Did you just decide you just because you work so well together, or or you enjoyed what you were doing there?
Yeah, and you know, so what we realized at this moment, so that we were not very good in marketing, in user acquisition, in fundraising and other things, but we were very good in development. So we knew how to build a good quality products efficiently, and you know, so that then we decided that probably we will help other people to build their soft and let them focus on the fundraising and other things by which they are good at, and that actually
Yeah.
worked pretty well with our partners and clients.
So you were building products. What type of products were you building?
Mostly like, you know, the innovative solutions in health tech, in IoT, in ed tech. So that were like, you know, our my main areas of expertise. Most of our clients were startups or small companies. So that was like, you know, the prototyping, MVPs, but also like, you know, some of the startups, they were very successful and grew to some bigger companies. Some of them we are still working with. So some of our clients like 10 years with us. So
Wow, nice. Yeah, that's not always easy to do. So, congratulations on that. Keeping a
thank you.
client for that long. So, okay, so and but when you made that transition, you guys split off. You did your new thing. Was it still grounded in the gamification, the behavioral science stuff?
Yeah, because that was very natural transition because we had an experience in game development, and
Hmm.
that was like very natural to go to this direction. And so for our first clients and a lot of the further ones, they were using like uh, partly or heavily gamification techniques to improve users' attention. Some of them were like, you know, actually, let's say, innovating some of the healthcare products to make them more engaging, to get them more data through the digital solutions that were more like, especially in rehabilitation, you know, when you work with people who are in pain or who need to do some repetitive task that they are not really motivated to do, and
Mm.
any additional thing that helps them, so that's like very important. So yeah, so that's why. And it's like I cannot say that 100% of our projects or our products were included were including the gamification, but yeah.
So, explain gamification a little bit more for somebody that's listening that might not know what that means. I mean, unless you're doing it. You probably don't know
Sure.
what it means. Or you might be probably receiving it and don't know it because you're doing something. Wow, why am I doing this thing? We think we're in control of, our actions every day, but there's somebody that's probably influencing us to do something more because of things like that, right?
That's true. That's true. So, in a simple word, gamification is applying some of the game mechanics to in non-game contexts. So that's usually like the easiest examples, and you know that's what most of the people think of when they hear term gamification. They think about Duolingo or like some similar solution that give you like I don't know some streaks if you're open the app every day, that give you badges, that have some
Right.
leaderboards when you earn points for some actions in game. Probably if there is some in-game or in-app currency that you can spend for some content or whatever inside the app. And that's true, it is like the gamification, and that's what like most of the companies, when they decided they want to improve their user engagement or motivation or retention, they think about those mechanics, and they are good ones, but it's like, the very obvious ones, and that's why they are not always so efficient, because like everybody gets used to them and they are
All right.
quite
Isn't it kind
bored.
of, yeah, isn't it kind of like we used to years ago? I've been online for a few years, 20, 15, 20 years ago, people got what we started to talk about banner blindness. Like we used to have banners everywhere on websites and stuff. And after a while, you just don't even see them anymore. So it's like they become less effective.
Yeah,
Is that the
exactly,
same thing?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why in reality, the gamification, it's much deeper. So that's more about triggering people motivational drives to make them do something or make them not do something. So that's and there are, like, the very same thing we can do because of the different motivation. So, like, we can like my one of my examples, so we can motivate people to go to checkup, like maybe like regular checkups, because like we can give them some peer pressure. So, like, everybody in the community, they do it regularly, then they share their like result that they did this test or something, and so the other people feel that it's like good thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can
Right.
do it based on like epic meaning or like, so you are a better, like, we are building the healthier nation together, or something like that. So that's different motivation. Or we can give them, I don't know, the ownership, and like we can give them their digital twin, who got, like, who need to be taken care of, and they, like, when they do the checkup, the part of the body become, like, colorful, or I don't know, they can customize them or whatever. Or they can
Oh,
do it
wow.
because of fear.
Yeah.
So, like, we can motivate them, tell them some scary stories. So if you're not doing checkups regularly, something bad can happen. Or it can be surprise. So, like, in every test you get, I don't know, some gift. So there are a lot of different things. And, knowing those motivations and combining them into consistent system. So that's what I name gamification.
Oh, wow. That covered the gamut. Yeah. Well, so it's like, I think the average consumer would be like, you're trying to manipulate me. Like, yeah, but the business owner's like, yeah, well, this is what we do. When we're writing copy or we're, a sales letter or whatever, we do it in a certain way to get you, to motivate you to do something. And it's for your own good. Right?
Yeah, so that's the ethical part of things, of course, important. But that's what every business is trying to do, is to keep their users happy, to keep
Yeah.
their users motivated. And anyway, people feel when they are being manipulated, and that's why it's very important. Difference between motivation and manipulation is not always obvious. And I mean, so you can manipulate your customer like once or twice, but if you do it repeatedly, they will feel it, and
Right.
they will
Right.
anyway will not be loyal to you. But
Yeah.
if you motivate them, so actually, if they want to do something, you are just helping them, to stay healthy, to exercise, to save money. I mean,
Right. They want to
to
be. They want to be
yeah,
pushed forward. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Really
then
good.
it's like it's more of like more in the motivational part of things.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you guys start this business, and now what are your so how long you've been doing that same business this whole time, or up till
So
recently?
no, this, like, so my company that got acquired recently, it was more the business, like the software development company. So it was not. The gamification and behavioral science, it was like just a little part of it, and some, the consultancy that I was doing, it was part of this business, but it was not like the essence of it. So that's why it's more like so my other startup, that is the health tech solution that helps people to choose the right supplements to take, and then to take them like consistently, not forget to take the vitamins and other things. So that's another company that I'm building. And this like behavioral science consultancy is more like a, let's say, side. So it used to be side projects, let's say, for me, but now it become a bigger part of my story, let's say.
Yeah, but well, you're definitely, the definition of entrepreneur. You got a lot of different things going on. Spun up a new
True.
business over here, did this over here. Um, so okay. So now, so how did you? So you said you had a development team. So you had a pretty. This is a pretty. How many people do you have working for you or in that company?
I had about 30 people in
30
my
people.
team.
That's a pretty decent sized team. And you did that. And how did you? Like what did you focus on? Was it challenging to do the marketing side of things and find business, or how did you get the word out, or how did you approach that? I'm curious.
There are so marketing. I realized it quite late, I must say, but I wish, and that is something that I recommend all my clients and all my friends who are starting their businesses, is to start investing in marketing from day one, because that is something that stays with you, and that is actually like comparing to the like sales outreach, marketing, and it's like it's something that stays with you, and that
Should be
you
like
are.
a baseline
Yeah,
kind of
yeah. And
part of your business. Yeah.
yeah, and you need to think about like how users are going to find you, and that is very very important. In my business, only like last couple of years, we started to invest in marketing and to do more of like the like personal brand development, more of like the search engine optimization, more like content marketing and all other things. And it works, so it brings us some clients. But I would say that we should have started earlier, and we need to do more. So that is for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. So what did you? So most of your business was what, referral or just networking and yeah.
Most of my business were returning clients and recommendations, and yeah, so that was the majority of new
Oh,
clients were coming from the previous ones.
okay. And so you build up. So how did you be able to split off and sell the web development part of it? Was it just that was only part of what you were doing, and
No, 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 no. No, it was just
it was all
it's the whole yeah, it's the whole company.
okay?
So we were that was doing like software development.
And how did that happen? You built it up to a certain point, and somebody offered you some money. How does that work? Because for all of us out here that want to do the same thing someday.
I never thought about it, so I just was like building my business, and I was never thinking that I will want to sell it one day. uh,
No,
but uh, but then eventually it happened. So it was I think that after 10 years of doing it, I just realized that 30 people is rather small company, and we always bootstrapped, so we didn't use any investor money, and we like did everything ourselves, and I was
it's
the
pretty
only
impressive. Yeah.
yeah, I was only founder, so all the decisions. So I've got an excellent team, and they were supportive, and they helped me a lot. But the final decision is anyway on me, and I was wearing so many hats, and I just realized at some moment that for the last, I don't know, 3-4 years, we were just at the plateau, and I understood that that's because we are limited by by the resources of me, let's say,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that we don't have enough like profits to invest in a lot into growth, and that that's why we are just staying the same, we are not growing. And I wanted some significant change, and I realized that that is possible either if we join the bigger company, or if we involve some investment that that we would invest in the business development, in marketing, in all those, like, growth departments. And that's when I decided that, okay, I will start looking for the partners. And I was working with the agency that helps to match
Oh, okay.
potential buyers and potential sellers or investors. So they had, like, the different portfolios. And yeah, and thanks to them, I met this company, and that was like a super fast deal, and because we just liked each other from the first introduction call, because they have a very similar. So they, like, 10 or 15 times bigger than us, but they have like
Mm.
very similar culture, very similar attitude. So just we had this the chemistry at our call, and so that's why we just did a very effective due diligence. That was this agency who we were working with. They said that there's like an absolute record in their history, such a
Oh,
fast.
wow. Yeah, because that's yeah, you have to almost get lucky there. So how important you mentioned the cultural fit and everything. I mean, I imagine you're concerned also about the people at work,
Of course, of course.
the people in your company to make sure they're okay when this happens. Was it like a merger, or was it they were taken over? Like, are they still operating as this company, or how
Yeah,
did
yes,
that get structured?
we are getting integrated into their systems, but we are keeping more or less the same structure. So all the clients, so we are trying to keep all the clients, all the people, and have the same like allocation. So people are working with the same people, with the same clients, and no additional disruptions, and other things
Yeah.
are planned. And I am staying with the company, so
Oh, okay.
to
So you're
make sure
not
that
out of there.
everything goes. No, 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 no. So I'm staying. So I'm staying like so this first couple of months for the transition, then at least for a year to, like, keep everything operating well. And probably during this time we will find more things to do together, because like guys are really cool and they have a lot of interest in projects. So
Oh,
who
nice.
knows?
But you're not on your own anymore. That is like where you're talking about, like you wear a lot of hats, and it really is hard to duplicate yourself or find,
It
because
is.
that's always, everybody makes that sound so easy, right? You have to eventually step away from the business and get people to do these jobs, all this stuff for you. So they run it for you and you can sit back and do something else, or take the day off. But it's not that easy just to make that transition and just to invest, especially if you're bootstrapped and you have to invest in it yourself, and you got to hope that you get that big contract that's going to help you do it or something like that. You're waiting down the road. But yeah, like you said, it sounds like you kind of figured out, well, I'm either going to have to get an investor, somebody that can help me scale and do this, or find a situation like you got there. And I think it's really cool to know too that there's agencies out there dedicated to helping you find those people. I mean,
Yeah.
that's because it's like, because I've heard stories over the years of people that have sold their businesses. They either had it, always thought they were going to exit at some point. They had the plan up front, but I've also heard where it's like, at a certain point, people start approaching you, and then it's kind of just a random thing. But it's really, there's an agency for everything out there, I feel like, but they probably have it figured out, and can, they have their networks, and they found the perfect fit for you. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
and I also were approached a couple of times by other companies who were suggesting the acquisition and other things. But you know what I like about working with agency, even though you need to pay them their fees, it's because
Yeah.
they do some because they are experts in something,
Yep.
and they can do the homework that you cannot do because you don't know what to look for. So they do the background
Exactly. Yeah.
checks, they communicate with the companies, and they also pre-vet them as well. So that's like, for both cases, they validate for both, for the buyers, that the sellers are like, what they are saying they are, and vice versa. So that's like
Yeah,
the important part. And I believe that everybody should do their job that they are good at, and to let
exactly.
other
Right.
people to do theirs.
Yeah, it's like just a kind of as sort of an example. I felt like that way with cold email, outbound email, and I tried it like a half a dozen times because I always was kind of, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to do it myself. I'll figure it out, and then I'll build the team around that. I'll do my thing. When in the beginning, I should have just went out and found an agency to do it for me because I had a lot of false starts, a little bit limited success, but you don't have time to invest in it. You don't have the experience. You're learning everything from scratch. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. So that's exciting. This is that's huge. So now you have this is all opened up for you. You have some new partners to do maybe bigger things with, but you're also still doing the consultancy stuff where you're doing more of that. So
Uh,
are you spending the same amount of time with the development stuff, or how's that working?
I'm still doing consultancy, and I'm also working more on um, let's say collecting all my knowledge and making some useful resources out of it. So that's how my framework came up. That's how I collect all the checklists, all the scripts, everything that that can be useful for others, and I'm putting it to my website to I don't know to spread my knowledge
Spread the
to
news.
give
Yeah.
spread the news. Yeah,
Uh,
to share to maybe pay it back, for other.
you're so you're doing so your consultancy is going to be something you want to focus more in on, and you got this new framework. And where did this framework? So that's part of that, though. That's not part of the development side or that company. This is outside of that. This is your thing. This framework. So tell us a little bit about that. What do and why a framework? Where did that come from?
So it came from my experience. What I realized that on different stages of the product development, or actually, I would not only say that it's limited to development. It's more to the whole process of creation a product. So it could be not necessary even like mobile or web application. I noticed that there are some very often there are like clarity in one part of the flow, and total mess in the different ones. So the team's not very aligned. Very often, the developer, they are not quite sure why they are building what they are building, or the founder, like they have the big idea, but they are not thinking about how they are going to validate it, how to make it effective, how to check the results. And even the very often what I see that when people they set some goal, but it's very vague, and everybody understands it's the in a different way. And there are a lot of frameworks, but each of them are also covering part of the story. So there is the goal set framework. That's one thing. There are gamification or behavioral science frameworks that cover another part. The get things done, agile, and they work with some part, but they are not covering the whole story. And that's why I put together everything that I actually tell to my clients when they come to me. So the question that I ask them, and that actually bring everything together. So that's like the 7 questions that everybody need to answer before building the product, changing some feature, before improving their process. So when you start something, so you just answer 7 questions, go through 7 stages, and that was align you with first with yourself. Because even when I started to use it in my company, I realized that
Mm-hmm.
some of the ideas, they are I have it, but when it comes, okay, so but give me the so let me start, and I will give you example on the way. So the first question is why. So why we are doing this? So what is the goal that we are trying to achieve, or what the problem that we want to solve? So just the same both for users and for the company. So why we are doing this? Then is like, how we know if we achieve the goal or not. And
Okay.
that's the moment when a lot of people, they actually don't know the answer. So, and then we need to set like, the measurable clear goal when we say, okay, so this is achieved. So if you want to improve something, so what metric should be what? Or if you want to, I don't know, the build something, and we like, let's say, so we
That's
want to.
that's that's so important. Like it's funny 'cause sometimes as you talk, I write down words, right? That's kind
Mhm.
of my thing. And my first one was why. And the second one, before you even said measurement, I said measurement because like the how, like how do you know you've achieved that
Exactly.
goal? You have to be measuring it somehow. And I think about all the times I haven't done that when I've tried to create a product and I didn't really have these. I probably have the why kind of figured out, but I wasn't like, I don't know what, I just keep building it and without any idea of, well, how do I know I arrive? Like, is it number of sales? Is it, what is that?
Exactly. And the third one, and what is your numbers now? And that's surprisingly, I don't know, 85% of companies, they're not measuring enough of their data. So, what, like, if you want to improve retention, what is your current retention? What is, I don't know, what is the point where your user drop off? What
Right.
are I don't know, the conversion rates and all other things? And, that is super important to measure all, as much information as you can get from your users. You should get it, because you will need it sooner or later, because you would need to analyze this data. You would need to understand what are, like, the onboarding process that they stuck, what is, like, I don't know, what day of your flow they fell off, or, so the data
Right.
is like, is a must. So we
And that's
should
really,
collect
and
data.
that's really like I work with e-commerce stores and stuff, kind of one of my biggest things I do. And like everything in the process of like, how to retain a customer, but also like just, yeah, like you said, when do they drop off? When do they stop being a customer? Or when do they have it? What issues they having even in the funnel in the process? But to do that, you have to know how to capture all that stuff, which is the challenge.
That's true. Then the emotion. So that's a thing that most of the frameworks and most of the people do not really think on the moment when they start to build something. But that is also very important, because people are not rational, as we already earlier discussed. So we need to think about how we want them to feel when they use our application. And again, there is no universal answer, like we want them to feel good. No, you need to think, we need to think, like, actually what motivational drives we want to trigger, what feeling do we want. So that's more like, the like a uh, positioning that we are having, and that will influence a lot of things. It influences your brand voice, your wording, your actual, like, the gamification technique, because, like, even the good, there are like different good. So there can be,
Right.
like, even let's say the coach can be, like, very supportive, which is like, celebrating every your small step. Coach can be strict. Coach can be, like, the motivating. Coach can lead by example. Coach can be, like, the very very experienced, and to give you a lot of information, numbers, and other things. So we need to decide it before we start, like, designing the app or planning uh, what well, what we are going to do or what we are going to change. So this part is actually mostly behavioral science and gamification thing. Then there is a hypothesis as well. So we have our goal and how we are going to achieve it. And what I see a lot, that the generating ideas is fun, and all the ideas
Yeah.
seem very good, but
That is the
it's
funnest part. It's like you have all these ideas, but yeah, what
yeah.
are you going to do with that?
Yeah, and that's good to try to focus on the minimum amount of those ideas, because any like great product, it started with some simple idea and some simple like problem that they solved in a efficient way. Then, of course, so when you have a lot of loyal users, you are adding the additional value to them, you're adding additional functionality, but you need to focus on something one first, and you're like, and you need to make this assumption. And the more well defined it can be, the better. So you can, if you can say, so, okay, we think that, I don't know, our users, they leave because, like, I don't know, it's not clear for them how to proceed. So we
Mm.
need to explain them better. And we expect that because of that, the retention will increase like by this amount. And then the next
So
step,
it's
so they are very
so stop in there a second, so because I just had an
mm,
example pop in my head. So so you're saying, so like, how can you retain, or if somebody doesn't get enough information or whatever? Like, I don't know why, it just dropped in my head. Like, I'm working with a e-commerce brand that they've always had instructions on how to use their product, and there's steps involved with using their product to get it shipped to them and all this stuff. They have to do some things, and they identified the fact that they need to explain it more. And like, we spent all this time on an actual instructions page that's much more dynamic and explains it a lot more, but that helps them understand the product so they don't drop off. I don't know if that fits in there. It just popped in my head,
no,
but
no, but
yeah, go
but
ahead.
that's right. So, for example, that could be an example that we are trying to improve users, I don't know, conversion from like trial to paid customer, let's
Yeah.
say, and we have an assumption. Okay, so that's not for the new product, but it's for the flow of like some improvement. And we
Uh-huh.
like get our data, and we see that they drop off at some particular moment, and we have a theory like that probably they don't understand what
Yeah.
is the next steps, so they don't have enough information. And by providing them more information, we want to improve this metric. So this like a core hypothesis for this iteration.
Right.
And then the next like logical step is the minimum validation. It's like, what is the easiest way to validate this hypothesis? And this is more practical way that what we want to do. So let's say the easiest way would be add I don't know, the tutorial screen at this step that will show them the next action. Or let's say the easiest step will be to highlight button and add animation on it, which would attract user attention, and they will understand that that's their next goal. Okay, we take it, we fix it, then we write it down, let's say, and we go to the next step is like the cadence. So like a planning, let's say, our rhythm. So when we want to start checking it, so when we plan to implement it, and the most important, when we are going to validate the hypothesis. So because that is another step that's very often forgotten. So we are just adding functionality, we are adding some features, we are thinking that that's a good idea, but we never check it was actually a good idea or not. So the main idea that, okay, in 3 months, we check, these metrics, and we decide if the numbers like increased by this amount, that means that that was a good theory. We are keeping it. If it's this amount, we need to tweak something and keep experimenting. If it's like this way, we say, okay, it was not effective, and just let's drop it and go to
Sometimes
the
that
new
can
idea.
happen, and sometimes that can happen in like 3 days or 3 hours. Like, with
Absolutely.
e-commerce, like, there's so many. We're always testing stuff, and I'll get the call from the owner or the business says, Matt, we need to revert that, please. Our tail sales tanked. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's important. So you not only have to come up with these ideas, things to test and stuff like that, you also have to have something in your, something in the schedule to, okay, look at that data and say it's good or bad, kind of an A/B split test kind of situation
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And I think that e-commerce solutions, they are actually better with this, because they have a pretty well defined, the funnels, the flows. They collect a lot of numbers because that's essence of their business. So I think that it's
But it's always a hypothesis, though. It's always something like, it's
yeah,
like
that's true.
somebody got an idea, and it might be a new agency they're working with. We've gone through so many agencies over the years where it's like this agency comes in, has all these ideas, we implement it, doesn't work, but some things work, thankfully. But it is this constant process of trying things, seeing what works, and those are the businesses I find that are most successful in the end, is the ones that are taking the risks and trying things, and
Absolutely.
sometimes you can have that hypothesis, like this looks like a really good idea on paper. We might even spend lots of development time building that new landing page or building this new feature, and it doesn't work. It looked good. It seemed like it was going to work, but you have to, then next thing I know, we're not talking about that anymore. We're getting rid of it.
And
So
that's good.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the right thing to do. So you also, that's also important to clean some stuff that doesn't work, and not to get another, problem that some application has, that, okay, we already built it, let's keep it. And the app, just becomes like big and heavy, and
Yeah. Yeah.
users are
Yeah.
lost
Right.
among, the different features that they don't need, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what would be good, to have beta testers and things to try things out for you. And so you don't roll it out to everybody all right away. But that's a whole thing. That's a whole topic in and of itself. So you have a lot of things. Did we go through all the steps,
Yeah, I
all the
think
parts
so.
of the framework?
I think so.
But it's really, so one of the things too I was just thinking of is like how, like validation, like validating an idea or a feature or whatever. It does require you to have some kind of user base, or you got to get it in people's hands, and so you can have an idea, but you have to get it to a certain point where that's where the marketing comes in, or you have to have a list, or you have to have something. Because that's the challenge sometimes. If you're coming into, and I've tried this, you're creating something from scratch, you haven't built the list. Who's going to test it? Give it to some friends, or get the word up, put it out there on social media. Hey, try it for free. Do you have any thoughts around that? Like how you approach that?
Um, you need money
You need
for
money.
that. You need money, yeah. So that's another thing that I also always ask my clients, or like I recommend thinking about, is user acquisition. You
Yeah.
cannot, if you are building the startup and you have no, I don't know, if you are not celebrity who has I don't know, a couple of 100,000 Instagram followers or something, you need to think about how you are going to attract users to your app. And even if you can, give it to your friends and family, or I don't know, 10 other people, paid beta testers or something, so it will not, and even if they say that it's good, and even if it's really, really good, nobody will know about it. So
Well,
you need to
right.
think
I mean,
about user acquisition.
you have to find your market. You can't just give it to any random person either. You got to find somebody that actually would use that tool in their context. So you're saying like you have to invest in like advertising or something, some to funnel people in and
Yep.
build that list. It's not something magical. You have to do it. You have to either invest in it or already have it, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So this is exciting. So you got this framework. You got it all sketched out. And I think it's interesting how it stitches together everything. Like you said, there's a lot of frameworks out there that take care of a piece here and there. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you don't even look at the big picture. And even when I'm looking at this, I'm like, yeah, all the times I've thought about a service, uh, or a product, a digital product or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I have not thought about all of these things before I start building it. I'm kind of that person that's just going to start building something. I got an idea. It's a cool idea. Let's build it, put it in somebody. See. Hopefully I post it on social media, and hopefully somebody will find it and want to use it.
But it doesn't
It
work like
needs a little
that.
more thought than that. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
where I
yeah, yeah.
fail.
But
Uh,
That's actually why a lot of startups fail. This statistics, right? So how many
Yeah.
startups make it? And I mean that probably the thing is not only about the framework and other things, but a lot of people start building something without thinking the whole picture, because it seems to be a good
Yeah.
idea and it's fun to start. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so I did it myself too. So I
Well,
cannot say
you
that
get
everything.
overconfident. Yeah, because you're like, this is a great idea. Of course, I'll build it, and then I'll worry about finding the people to come to the product, and or you build it, they will come, kind of thing, and they don't. Or you suddenly you got another business that takes off, and you don't even have time. I've seen that happen a couple times, myself and others, where you build this thing, and then but all your time's being spent on this other thing that took your attention because that's where the money is, and then you never marketed this thing over here. There's a lot of things that can go sideways. Well, this is actually really cool. I would love to actually have you back for a part two. If you're game, how can
Sure,
I gamify this? How can I motivate you to come back for a part
I can.
two?
I
um,
can. We will find the way.
yes, no, because I think there's so many things here. I would actually like to kind of think about this, like I would love to hear examples. We like to tell stories, we come back with some stories about how you've seen this implemented, or even pieces of it. It's the whole thing, but we can break it down into pieces that because I feel like we covered the the broads, the arc. Now I would love to drill into at least one or a couple of these things, because some of them are pretty brilliant. Um, and
Sure,
important
sure. With
if we want
pleasure.
to be
With pleasure.
successful. Okay.
It is. It
So,
is true.
um, Tetiana, it's been a pleasure.
Matt,
Thanks. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing all that. It's just, not going into this, not knowing what we're going to talk about. It actually turned out pretty good. I learned a
I
lot.
enjoyed it too.
Yeah. And congratulations again on selling the company, or whatever you call it. You're merging, whatever you're doing. You're
Thank
growing,
you.
you're doing new things. That's awesome. But yeah, until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And UnifiedLabs.ai is where we explore smart, practical ways to integrate AI directly into your website and e-commerce flows. From intelligent chatbots to marketing automation to back-end reporting, all with a strong focus on user experience and making your systems work smarter. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with someone who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building smarter, bolder, and with purpose.